Hello, students. I hope now you understand very well all the basic concepts of trigonometry. Today, let us look at three more interesting concepts in trigonometry. They'll help us to solve various problems. They are line of sight, angle of elevation, and angle of depression. So, what is the line of sight? Let's understand. Can you see this building here? Suppose a boy is standing in front of the building at some distance from it. He is looking at it straight from here. Now, can you see here that if we join the point here near to his eyes and the point on the building straight to his eyesight, we get a horizontal line. Thus, the line that runs from the eye of the person to the distant point where the person is looking straight is called the line of sight. This is the line of sight here in our case. Since the line of sight here is parallel to the surface, we also call it as horizontal line of sight or simply horizontal line. Now what if you're looking at the top of the building? Yes, in this case, we will draw a line from the eye to the top of the building. Set this point. This slanting line now becomes the line of sight. What would be the line of sight if you were observing the base of the building then? Yes, you are correct. It will be a line connecting the eye and the building's base. So this will be a line of sight in case when we are looking down. Note that horizontal line of sight or horizontal line is imaginary. It is usually the ground on which some building stands or runs parallel to the ground. Can you see how the line of sight makes angles with the horizontal line? Yes, these angles are called the angle of elevation and angle of depression. The angle of elevation is for the top of the building, which is simply the angle that this line of sight makes with the horizontal line, while the angle of depression is for the base of the building, which is simply the angle that this particular line makes with the horizontal. Let me repeat this quickly as this is an important concept. When the person looks up or elevates the head, this will be his or her line of sight. Thus, the angle made by this line of sight with the horizontal line is called angle of elevation. Note here that line of sight is above the horizontal. Let us call this angle as angle 1. When the person looks down or the head is depressed, the line of sight will be this, and the angle made by this line of sight with the horizontal is called angle of depression. Note that here line of sight is below the horizontal. Let us call this angle as angle 2. So we can say that when line of sight is above horizontal, the angle of elevation is formed. And if the line of sight is below the horizontal, the angle of depression is formed. Now here is one problem for you to just check whether you have understood this concept or not. Suppose you are standing at the top of the building and you are looking at your friend who is standing down on the road. What would be the angle formed by you in this case? And what would be the angle formed by your friend? Pause the video and think about it. Let's answer it. When you are looking straight ahead, this is the horizontal line of sight for you. Observe that it is parallel to the road. From this location, you can spot your friend standing below on the road at some distance. Obviously, you'll look down and wave to him, isn't it? Yes, you'll have to look down. So the actual line of sight will be this, going down towards your friend, below the horizontal. It can be drawn like this, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Thus, the angle so made between the horizontal line and this line of sight, which is below it, is angle of depression. Am I right? Absolutely. Now what about the angle for your friend? It will be an angle of elevation. Since he is looking up at you, the line of sight for him will be like this, coming upwards toward you. And what will be the horizontal line for him? Yes, the road surface. As obvious, this line of sight is above the horizontal and thus makes an angle of elevation with it. Now students, let me give you one more task. Can you represent this entire situation in the form of triangle? Pause the video and give it a try. Trust me, it's simple. Okay, let's represent this building as a straight vertical line like this and the road as horizontal line like this. Now you are standing at the top, so for you the horizontal line will be this and your friend is on the road and will have horizontal as nothing but the road surface. It can be shown like this. Now both of you are looking at each other, isn't it? So for both, the actual line of sight will be kind of a hypotenuse here, isn't it? Yes. So what have we formed? Correct. It's a right angle triangle. And this was our task, right? Where the actual line of sight is the hypotenuse. The building is the height of the triangle and the road surface is the base of the triangle, or horizontal also acts as a base of the triangle. The road surface is the base for this triangle, where this angle is the angle of elevation formed when your friend looks up at you. Similarly, this horizontal line of sight is the base for this triangle, where this angle is the angle of depression formed when you look down at your friend. Now you can surely ask me, why have we represented humans as dots? Observe that the height of human will be very small as compared to the height of the building. So we can ignore this height and thus both the humans, you and your friend, have been represented as dots. In fact, we make such assumptions for other objects as well, like boats, cars, etc., where their height is negligible. In simple words, we can imagine humans or objects to be point size and represent them as dots. Now wait, if we look at these two cases together again, we find that angle of elevation and angle of depression are alternate angles. And why so? We know that the road surface and this upper horizontal are parallel to each other. And this line of sight acts as a transversal. So they form a Z, and hence we can say here that angles 1 and 2, that is angle of elevation and angle of depression, are alternate angles. That is, needless to say that they will be equal. Now students, this is true for all other cases where this kind of situation arises, where we have two horizontal lines and the hypotenuse acting as a transversal. So what we have understood is the angle of elevation and how it is formed, and angle of depression and how it is formed. In the coming videos, we will solve some problems based on them, and we will also see some more interesting facts regarding angle of elevation and depression.